ब्रह्म से मैं अवतार लिए, देह का मैं आधार लिए, सृष्टि मंच पर अभिनय करती मैंने जन्म कई बार लिए। साथी मेरा सर्व शक्तिमान, ज्ञान स्वरूप में आत्मा परम पिता की मैं संतान, ज्योति स्वरूप में आत्मा शांत स्वरूप, शक्ति स्वरूप, प्रेम स्वरूप में आत्मा पवित्र स्वरूप, सुख स्वरूप, आनंद रूप में आत्मा हूँ, आत्मा हूँ। शांत स्वरूप, शक्ति स्वरूप, प्रेम स्वरूप में आत्मा हूँ।
Om Shanti. Good morning. So, yesterday we talked about why knowing the self or self mastery is important. It is not because we want to completely switch off from everything else and just focus on the self, but we understood that knowing the self, connecting with the self, is vital to taking care of all the other aspects of life, whether it is health, physical health, or relationships or work. It is a healthy mind that can lead to a healthy body, healthy relationships, and healthy performance at work. So this is why self-mastery is the core from which all other aspects of our life are connected. And we also took the example of the roots and how the root, when watered well, that watering the root, that activity takes care of every other part of the tree or the plant. Similarly, in this plant of our life, if we water the self, the root, then everything else gets taken care of automatically. So this is what we understood. We also understood how we can focus our attention on whatever we want. And I gave you the example of comparing attention to a muscle. So just like you have muscles in the body, and sometimes you may not be using them enough, so they are not very flexible. But once you start using them, you understand how flexible your body is, or how much there is a capacity in the body to bend the way you want it to bend. Similarly, attention is a muscle, and if you exercise it enough, then you can focus your attention on whatever you want. You can pull your attention from wherever you want, and you can focus your attention to whatever you want. Although we talk about this attention these days in the way that, what can I do? This thing is just seeking my attention, or I can't withdraw my attention from it, or my attention is being pulled by this thing. But then if we exercise the attention muscle, we can train it to be pulled from anywhere we want and anchored wherever we want it to be anchored. And I suggested that you do some exercises regarding this in the day. When something that you're focusing on is not leading to good feelings, then you just try to pull your attention from that and focus on something else. Did you do that? How many did that, tried that? Please raise your hand. Okay, good. And were you able to do it? Yes, how many were able to do it? All right, very good. So now you see that when you experiment, you experience your abilities. So this is an ability which is there, but we were using it definitely, but we were not consciously using it earlier. I will tell you one beautiful thing about learning something in a systematic way. So, sometimes you might do the right thing by chance or by accident. Yes, so we sometimes intuitively or perhaps by chance or just by way of intuition or instinct do the right thing. But then when you learn it systematically, you are able to repeat it. So, this is the beauty about formal education. So, similarly, we have been using these capacities of focusing our attention from pulling it from one place and focusing it on the other, but we were not doing it consciously until now. And now that attention is drawn to these capacities and we will be learning it in these spiritual classes, then you will be able to repeat this thing very consciously. And that is the beauty of formal spiritual education. So it's not that you didn't exercise pulling your attention and focusing it somewhere earlier. You did that earlier also, but it was not conscious. Now it can be conscious. Fine. Now, why I talked about attention in the first class, there's a reason for it, because basically meditation is focusing your attention on the truth. All right. So, what the truth is, we will understand, and then focusing your attention on the truth is basically meditation, because it is said truth is power. Okay, so when you focus your attention on the truth, it makes you very powerful. So basically, this is what meditation is. This is why, before even starting with what the truth is, I tried to tell you about how you have the capacity to put your attention to whatever you want. Now, today we will first begin with a small reflection. And in this reflection, now, do you engage in reflective thinking sometimes? Okay, so I will first define three kinds of thinking for you. First kind is formula thinking. So, formula thinking is this is an apple, this is an orange, this is a mango, and this is a tree, and this is a plant. So, information based thinking. So, that is formula thinking. This is this, and that is that. Then there is reflective thinking. So, when we talk about reflective thinking, it is a little deeper in nature. Like when I say this is a mango and this is different from an apple, and I dwell upon or ponder over or reflect upon what the differences are and how these differences arise, and whether actually there are points of differences, but they still belong to the same family, which is the fruit family. So these kinds of thinking is reflective thinking. So when you take a point of knowledge and try to go deeper and find what it implies, what it means, what are the aspects it covers, this is basically reflective thinking. And there is a third kind of thinking which is called contemplative thinking. So, what is contemplative thinking? Contemplative thinking is when you take an idea and you dwell upon it in such a manner that you can convert it into an experience. So suppose I tell you that when you eat healthy food, your body gets healthy. So this is a statement, and you think about it, that's a formula thinking. Now, when you reflect on it, see, when I eat healthy food, it gets processed into the body, and then these are the nutrients, and these are the vitamins, and these are the minerals that the body gets, and then it gets absorbed. So, there is a process, and yes, it will lead to good health. So, that is reflective thinking. And then, when you just visualize yourself having good food for a long period of time, and then you think about how your body will change and how you will feel healthier and lighter and fresher and more happy and blissful inside, because you are having that good quality of fruit or food, that is called contemplative thinking. So when you can reach and experience by way of deep thinking, that is called contemplative thinking. And meditation basically is about contemplative thinking. But before we go to contemplative thinking, we have to start with formula thinking. So you need to know what is what, and only then can we reflect on it or contemplate over it. So now we will engage in an exercise where I would like you to reflect on 4 questions. The first question is, who am I? Who am I? The second question is, who do I belong to? The third question is, where have I come from? And the fourth question is, what do I have to do? So these are the 4 questions. Who am I? Who do I belong to? Where have I come from? And what is my purpose, or what do I have to do? So each of you, I would request you to go into silence, and I will keep repeating these questions slowly, and you try to reflect and listen to your inner voice about what it wants to tell you about regarding these 4 questions. And I would request you to write that down after the meditation is over in the chat box. So let's reflect on these 4 questions for some time. Sit straight in an alert posture. My body is still. My eyes are gently open. Every organ of my body is in stillness. And I go into deep thought. Ask myself, who am I? Who is the real me? I carry a name. I hold positions. I work with labels. But is there all that is to me? Or am I more than that? Who am I really? Who do I belong to? There are so many people I call belong to me, and I belong to them. But why is there this deep sense of lack of complete belonging? Who do I really and actually belong to? Where have I come from? What is my home? I have a physical home. I have a bed. I lie down on it. But why isn't there the comfort I'm seeking? Why isn't there the peace that I'm craving for? Where is that home where I'm totally comfortable with myself? What is my real purpose? I have done a lot of work in life, achieved a lot, but still there is an emptiness. There isn't that feeling of having done it all, achieved it all. What is it that will fulfill me? Let me think deeply about these things. Who am I? Who do I belong to? Where is my home? What is my purpose? Sit in the reflection of these questions for some time. Om Shanti. So today I would like you to share only your answer to the first question. Who am I? So what is the answer you received when you asked yourself, who am I? So please write down that answer in the chat box. Okay. If you write I'm a soul, I'm going to ask you what a soul is. So don't write a soul without telling me what a soul is. So don't write anything that you don't actually mean. I don't want right answers. I want honest answers because there are never any right answers. There are only honest answers, okay? So write what you actually feel you are. Okay, I do not know, okay? I am a soul, part of some power. I'm a human being, very nice. I am a child of God, all right. I am a child of God, very nice. Part of some power, okay, very nice. All right, so any more answers? Okay, I'm a part of my parents. They gave birth to me, very nice. I am an immortal soul. Okay, I belong to the supreme power. I am a soul and I'm a form of energy. I'm a soul only, part of some supreme power. Okay, I genuinely believe I'm a soul. This physical body is just a vessel for my soul. I don't exactly know, feel part of family. Very nice. I'm a creation of Almighty. I'm a human being. Very nice. Good. Thank you so much for your honest and well-meaning answers. Now, first, we will take up this beautiful answer that came. I am a human being. So even with people who shared something else, this is one answer that everybody resonates with, which is I am a human being. And yes, ever since we are born, we know we are different from animals and plants and other creatures because we are human beings. Now, let's take this one word, human being. Now, this human being has two parts, human and being. So, there is a humus part, which is the physical aspect of you, and then there is the being part, which is the non physical aspect. So we know that I am a human plus a being, and I can see the human part, the one that is made of humus, in the mirror. But what do we mean by the being? Okay, so that is what we are trying to understand, that when we say human being, it is actually two things, humus and the being. So yes, about the humus, you know a lot. You see the part that is the humus in the mirror. You read about it in your biology class. You have so much information about it on the internet. You have so much information about it from experience. But what is the part which is referred to by this word being? And it is very important to understand who am I in the sense of a being here. Now, when we say human being, so the body is the humus and the being is the energy that runs this body. All right. Now, why do I say there is an energy that runs this body? Because you don't say I the body. Does anyone say I the body? No, you say my body. My body. So the body belongs to you. So who are you? The one who says my body is you. So that is the being which says this is my body, my hands, my legs, my body. And then when somebody leaves the body, you say they left the body. Or you say wo chal base. है ना, वो चल बसे. So the body is still lying there. So who is the one who walked out of the body and settled in somewhere else? So that one is the one we are referring to when we say the being. Now, when somebody dies, the dead body is called arathi. Arathi. Arathi means a rath, a chariot, which is devoid of the charioteer. Rath ka rathi chala gaya hai. So the rath is there, the chariot is there, the charioteer is gone. So arathi means a chariot devoid of the charioteer. So then the body is the chariot or the rath. Who is the one driving the rath or the chariot? That is the being. You can call it energy, you can call the being spirit, soul, atma, whatever you want. But what we are basically referring to is the one that leaves the body and the body is felt as dead. Now you see, in a hospital, when somebody is called into the operation theater, the doctor will say, bring the patient inside. Okay? But when the patient dies on the operation table, then the doctor says, take the body out. The body is still there, but then you don't call that body the patient anymore because the patient is gone. And who is the patient? He is separate from the body. So this thing that I am separate from the body, I am the energy driving this body. This one thing is what we are trying to understand today. In the sense of who am I? I am the driver of this body. I am the energy driving this body, and this body is my vehicle. Now you see, just like a driver sits on in behind the steering wheel and drives the car, similarly, I, the soul, the energy, sit on the driving seat. Now I will tell you where the driving seat is, but there is a driving seat where the soul sits and drives this whole body. And just like when a car meets with an accident, the car doesn't get hurt, the driver gets hurt. Similarly, something happens to the body. Who feels it? The soul feels it. Now, why do I say the soul feels it? Is it the body who feels the pain or the soul who feels the pain? Now, let's understand this very simple, puzzle. See, suppose your leg gets hurt, then you experience pain, and if I ask you where is the pain, you will say it's in the leg, correct? So the leg is experiencing the pain. Now, I play your favorite movie on the television screen that time, and then you start focusing on the movie, and suddenly you forget the pain, and all you experience is the scenes going on in the movie. Now, if your leg was experiencing the pain, then your leg is not busy. Who is busy? Your attention is busy. And because you focused your attention on something else, you don't experience the pain. So basically, that entity which has this capacity of attention was experiencing the pain. So the soul, which has the capacity of attention, experiences the pain when it focuses its attention on that part of the body which has some problem. So all the pain and pleasure that we experience is experienced by the energy, the soul, the spirit, the Atma, by when it focuses its attention on that aspect which is not going okay. All right. So you don't, so the leg is not in pain. You are in pain because something happened to the leg only when you're connected to the leg. If you're not connected to the leg, you don't feel the pain. Now you see, when you teach your children and expect them to study, you tell them, ध्यान से देखो, ध्यान से सुनो. ध्यान से देखो, ध्यान से सुनो. Now, ध्यान से, now the child sees with the eyes and hears with the ears. So why don't you say आंख से देखो, कान से सुनो? तो आंख से देख रहा है ना वो. The child is seeing with the eyes, but why do you say ध्यान से देखो? So basically, you don't see with the eyes. You see, the soul sees through the eyes when it focuses on something. And when you don't focus on it, you can't see it. That is why there is this beautiful ability in us to see but not see, hear but not hear. Okay, so you can have this ability because you are a soul, you are not the body. The eye may be open, the ear may be open, but it's not necessary that you see what's in front of the eyes or hear what is coming into the ears through your auditory gland. So it's not important. Why? Because you, the soul, are using the body with your power of attention. So the soul has this capacity of attention. And if you withdraw your attention, the body staying intact, you may not see what's there in front of you, may not hear what's there in front of you. Now, this we experience all day also, which is if you're just sitting and your attention is somewhere else, then somebody passes from in front of you, and then another person asks you, did they just cross this path? And then you say, I don't know, I was not attentive. So your eyes are open, but you don't see even when you see, like you must have seen because your eyes are open. But then if you don't pay attention, you don't see. Similarly, in the class also, you do this sometimes. So half the lecture you miss because your attention is somewhere else. Yes. So there was this sister who was writing this yesterday, that even if I'm listening to the class, I don't get half the things because my attention is not there. So who is the one who is running this body? The soul, the spirit, the energy, the Atma, the driver, that is the one running this body. And there is the body may be very good, the car may be very good, but the car is only as good as the driver. So you may have a very good brain, you may have a very good ear, you may have very sharp eyes, but then if the driver is not good, if the one who is running the whole show is not good, then you listen to the wrong things, you choose to see all the wrong things, and you choose to use your brain for creating all the wrong stuff. So this is why a person who creates something that is destructive in nature is also a scientist, and a person who creates technology which is very helpful is also a scientist. And both have ability and both have gray matter in the brain, but how they choose to use it is different, because the one who is choosing is not the brain or the eyes or the ability. It is the soul which has this function of choice. So the soul performs many functions. Two of them we mentioned today, which is focusing the attention, second, making the choice. And similarly, there are so many functions that the soul performs, which we will gradually listen to and practice. But today, what I want to focus on is you try to see yourself as separate from the body, although sitting inside the body, but separate from the body, and you are pure energy and you are different from the body. So, this is something that I want you to practice today. Why? I had once heard a very good expression, and the expression is, almost anything in the world works well once you unplug it and replug it. So, when your system doesn't work well, your computer is going slow, what do? You just restart it, right? So, it's a very good exercise to unplug and replug. Okay, so this unplugging and replugging, how will you do that? So, when you start seeing that there is a possibility to unplug from everything else, so there is this body, there are relationships, there is work, but that is not you, that is yours. Okay, this is your body, your work, your relationship. That is not you. So, what you can do is you can sometimes, for a minute, for 30 seconds, just come to the awareness of you and unplug from whatever is yours. And then when you unplug and then replug, then you have a better perspective, a better way of dealing with all that is yours. And I can prove this with a very simple example. Now you see, this is a piece of paper. If I keep it here, can I read anything? No. So I have to keep it at a distance. Distance is necessary for clarity. Only when I keep it at a good distance can I read it nicely. Similarly, whatever is yours has to be kept at a distance for clarity. If you get enmeshed with everything, clarity is lost. And in that jumbled state, you don't have clarity about what is the right course of action to take with regard to your body, with regard to your relationship, with regard to your work. So, if you want to work with your body, work with your relationship, work with the things that you are entrusted with, you need to have some amount of dispassion or some amount of detachment in order to have clarity about how to operate with them. All right. So, this clarity will come when in the day, sometimes you just unplug and replug. But for that unplugging and replugging, you should know what is it that you can unplug from and where do you come back to when you unplug. Okay. So, now comes the driver's seat. So, I, the soul, am the driver. This is my vehicle. I drive it. But where do I sit when I drive this vehicle? I sit behind the eyes. So, when you draw a straight line from here inwards and from the center of the head downwards, so where they intersect, that is actually the seat of the soul. All right. So, what you have to do is you have to just go within an inch from here. So, when you just enter this place and go to that place 1 inch behind the eyes, that is where you, the soul, sit. And what is the form of the soul? The form of the soul is a point of light. So you are that point of light. Now, did you ever think of yourself as a point of light? So we think of ourselves as this big, huge body, and then these labels and positions and titles, and we carry them on our head all day, and it gets really burdensome. So basically, if you just shed off these things from your consciousness for some time and become a small point of light, it's a very relaxing experience, because to become so subtle and so small is very relieving and unburdening. So sometimes, you should just unburden yourself by coming to this place where you realize that you are only this much. And when you leave this body, you will be this size. Everything else that you are carrying is important and you have to take care of it until you don't leave it. But then you are only this much and you are very light. And coming to that place in your consciousness where you see yourself as this tiny point of light, which is so light and so relaxed, is a very unburdening and relaxing experience. So, this is what we will practice right now. And I told you about attention, that you can focus it wherever you want. And the beauty of this capacity of attention is you can focus it inwards also. Right? So, this attention is a very interesting tool. You can plug it outside, you can plug it inside. Like if I ask you to take your attention to your heart, okay, just mentally visualize your heart in the left side of your body. You can do that, right? So, these eyes are oriented to see outside. You can't see inside with these eyes. But with the eye of awareness, you can see inside. With the capacity of attention, you can see inside. And how do you see inside? You can't actually see. It's not like I said you can see the heart means you can actually see the heart. You can understand, and through that power of understanding, create an awareness and an experience that your heart is there on the left side and it is beating continuously. So, in English, when somebody explains something to you and then you understand it, you use this expression, I see. Yes? So, that's very beautiful, because understanding is seeing. What you can understand is what you can see. You don't need to do anything else separately. If you understand something, you can see it because you can create an image of it. And all of spiritual education is about stuff that is non physical. So, that which you cannot see with these two eyes. So, what you have to do is you have to open your third eye. What is your third eye? Third eye is the eye of wisdom or the eye of understanding. And what you are getting in this class is wisdom. So, that third eye is getting open. And when that piece of information, that piece of wisdom, that piece of knowledge regarding your spiritual identity enters your buddhi, then you can see it, right? So, right now, I will give you a small commentary and we will go inside and connect. Now, one thing you have to drop first is your idea that meditation is very difficult and one can't meditate. So, meditation is very, very easy because you are a soul. So, connecting with yourself shouldn't be difficult. What are you doing? Is it some rocket science? No, you are connecting with who you are. So, you are, anyways, a soul. Today, you are just connecting with who you are. So, it's not difficult. It is the most natural and the easiest thing to do. All right, and I can speak still for 5 minutes. And here I am after 12 years teaching you how